Hello everyone, this is Frost Princess Hannah here, and I'm going to be doing another video. This time we're covering the Mysterious Tribe. So we've already done the Brave Tribe, and so I'll go into in-depth on each of the yokai, if there's that much to say about them. Talk about some strategies you can use with them, who's easy to get and good to use. So yeah, let's see how it goes. So the Mysterious Tribe, it's weird because this tribe overall I'd say is one of the better ones, but the reason why comes down to like only 3 or 4 yokai. If it didn't have those few good yokai, this would be terrible. It's very unbalanced, or it's a very mixed board where it's either a yokai is terrible or it's amazing. Whereas opposed to Brave Tribe, pretty much almost everything's really good. It's to the point that so many are good that many of them are just kind of outclassed. So, the first one are SB and Infor. They're basically the same yokai. They both heal health bars. They've got slightly different stat spread, both B ranks. And, they, for some reason, they've got a really, really low befriend rate. They're really hard to get, much harder than most B ranks. They're both hidden stage yokai that are, like, only on a single stage, so that might be why. But even then, they're still tough to get, but they don't really do that much to help. Like, for how much effort it takes to get them, you'd be much better off just using a different yokai. Um, because there's a good number of mysterious healers. I mean, even then healers, it's like they are good. Healers are good. I don't want to act like they aren't. They're good in beating casual levels, but there's just so many options. And these guys take so much effort to get. So then we got Wazat, and he's a hider, although he's only an E rank. He's the worst hider in the game. And hiders, as I talked about, they're like with Beetle, who's the best hider. Um, they can be really helpful with strategies where you want to go and flood the board and make it so that you only have a single Wibble Wobble on the screen. But Wazat's an E rank. He's designed to be bad, so he's not really doing much. And we've got our first stummer, Dumbcap, who is so stunners, they're how good they are varies. Sometimes they can be incredible, sometimes they can be bad, because basically getting to stun like a boss or a single strong yokai as opposed to a group, that's really helpful. It can give you a ton of time. Especially against bosses like Orkanos, it's really helpful against Goldie Bones, Caton Crash, McCracken. Those can go and give you some really valuable time to just go and get a Soul Mode up and finish the job, because often they can go and end up being more effective than healers. Although Dumbcap in particular he's an E rank, you get him in super early, so he's not very good. But also stunners, like, the downside to them is that if you're fighting 3 yokai, usually the 3 yokai, instead of being all extremely powerful, it's kind of spread out between them, so it's like there's 3 yokai that together would be as powerful as a single one, and a stunner isn't that useful there because it's sort of the equivalent of only getting to stun 1/3 of well, I mean, it's literally only getting to stun 1/3 of the competition, but it's the equivalent of like if you're fighting a boss, if you only got to stun him for 1/3 of the time, which really isn't very much. So next we have Casanova, who can only be obtained through coins and a single mission, so you can't grind him like just by using the 3,000 yen crank or playing a level over and over. The only way to get him is through limited coins, which there's no way of always being able to get a coin. You just have to wait for more to become available. There's a limited number. So Casanova is one of the hardest yokai to level up in the entire game. And he sounds super good. Like, being able to befriend enemy yokai sounds amazing, because I mean, that's basically the name of the game. If you can befriend yokai easily, get them to join you quickly, level up your ultimates, you're going to be really, really strong. But the Springdale Data Sciences, that's a group that I'm part of that does research on the game, has concluded that his effect is minimal. It's like a percent of a percent that he does. All befriending yokai are like that, where it's like they might boost your chances by like 2 or 3%, but it's so minimal that you're better off just using a yokai that can either help you finish the level faster, so that you can just do so you can go through levels to take more attempts at befriending, or a yokai that can just increase your score, so at least you'll get some money out of each attempt. Then we have Casanono. Now he's actually a good hider, so he's like, what's that? So you can use him to go and try to flood the board. You can use him just to go and, if you just struggle with being able to get ultimates ready for your other yokai, then he can be helpful in that it gets all of him off the board for a pretty long time. He's probably the fourth best hider because he's pretty hard to get. He's on a hidden stage and has a pretty low befriend rate, and he's got the same he has the same ultimate strength as Timidevil. Timidevil's much easier to get. He's in the Crankakai, and he's on multiple levels towards the late game. There's a level of 3 Timidevil, and so he's much easier to befriend than Casanono. But if you want the Mysterious Tribunity and to use a hider, then yeah, Casanono is pretty good. So we have Tattletail and Scranny, and they're just useless healers. I mean, Tattletail is excusable because she evolves into Tattlecast. So all the evolution yokai, they're bad on purpose, and it's like you're supposed to just be having them until they evolve. But Scranny is pretty pointless. A C rank mysterious healer, you can definitely do better than that. Because if you raise Tattletail to level 22, she evolves into Tattlecast, who's a rank B healer, which is pretty decent, especially because that's not very hard to do, because Tattletail is easy to befriend, and level 22 isn't that high, especially later on. And so you can actually do that multiple times to level up the healing. So that's partly why SP and Infor are pretty bad. They take so much work to level up their ultimates and when, getting a Tattletail and evolving it a few times into Tattlecast does not take much time. We have Sig Nible, Breaking Ball yokai, and Breaking Balls are terrible. I've talked about this in the last video, but just for some reason they do extremely little damage, and also they're very reliant on what their surroundings are. So it's like if one spawns at the corner of the screen, down at the bottom, then it will only be pushed against two-thirds of the Wibble Wobble it would be if it was in the center completely surrounded. So that means it only does two-thirds the damage. So besides having a low damage output, it's also really inconsistent. So yeah, Breaking Ball yokai are really bad. Giving out Sig Nible as a D rank battle only just exasperates how bad he is. So then next we have Signaton, and Signaton is one of the 4 yokai that make Mysterious a decent tribe. He's insanely good. He's one of the only 12 yokai that is good in top level score attack, and he makes big Wibwobs grow, and that's super helpful. He's in A rank, so he makes them really big. When you get him to level 3, he'll grow them by 7, and if you pop 2 size 7 Wibwobs of the same yokai, that will immediately fill your soul meter from nothing. And also how he works is he'll always target the smallest Wibwob on the screen. So if you're clearing all of the yokai off the screen, maybe you want to use a hider for that, such as Casanono. Well then, if you have a single really good attacker, such as Komashura or something, what you can do is you can go and, an attacker that doesn't pop Wibwob, but like Komashura or even Tanbo, or just anything that attacks the opponent directly, Landon, then what you can do is go and clear all the Wibwob off the screen, or make them size 2 or 3 that aren't your attacker, and that will mean that when you use Signaton, if he's level 3 or up, it's guaranteed that he'll immediately just give you another free ultimate in the waiting, so that way when you activate Fever Time, he will go and you'll get an extra free ultimate, which is super helpful. So using Signaton, that's how I got my ranking of 4th this week inside Wibble Wobble on score attack against Anti-Heart. What I used was Beelzebub, Elder Bloom, Zero, Komashura, and Signaton. And I don't have maxed out yokai. I have not been playing the game as long as people such as Big Boss Goat or Underboss Zombie, who I'm friends with both of them. You should check out Goat's videos. But so I haven't been playing as long, so I don't have Elder Bloom's ultimate maxed out. I don't have Beelzebub's ultimate maxed out. I do have Zero and Komashura maxed out, but basically my strategy was during the first wave of yokai, what I did was immediately got a Komashura Wibble up to size 13 and popped that so I'd have him ready because size 13 is the minimum of a single Wibble to fill a soul meter. Then got Signaton ready, and then I just kind of so that killed two of the wave 1 yokai. Then after that, I just started linking together my three boosters to until Fever Time activated against the one yokai left. I think was Jibanyan. And so once I got all three of those ultimates ready, what I started to do, Fever Time was just ending. I started to go and pop all of the booster ones. So I started popping Beelzebub, Elder Bloom, and Zero, and then Score Attack ended and it went into the Fever Time ended, so then that went into the second wave of yokai before the boss, Anti-Heart, so there are another three uh, Heartful yokai. So what I started doing was clearing all the boosters, but leaving Komashura and Signaton alone, and I was making sure not to KO any of the yokai, so if one was getting low on health, I'd quickly tap a different one so that I'd start targeting that one. And so during that time, I cleared all of the boosters until it was only Signaton Komashura on the screen. And I'd been paying attention to make sure that Signaton, there was less of him than Komashura overall. But then what I did was, I got... Once I had Signaton at size 13, I linked together multiple Komashura because that was the rest of the board. So I had two size 13 Komashuras, and there were some leftover little Komashuras on the screen and nothing else. So then that activated Fever Time. During Fever Time, I activated all my boosters. Then I used Signaton, and so because the only thing he was able to grow was Komashura, I got two size 7 Komashuras from those little ones. Then I tapped the size 13 Signaton that I had already made. I'd used him again before any new Wibble could spawn, so that way he was guaranteed to again grow to Komashura. So that meant that now I was able to use my first Komashura, which I had gotten earlier. And I was able to pop one of the size 13s and use that, then pop another size 13, use that, then pop two size 7s, use those, pop two more size 7s and use those, and then that happened so fast that there was still plenty of time left, and a bunch of bonus balls had spawned because I'd made so many big Wibwobs. And a bunch of Komashura had fallen down near them, so I was able to use the bonus balls to then make a sixth Komashura. So I was able to use Komashura under the effects of boosters 6 times in a single Fever Time against 3 yokai, and when you use a multi-attacker on 3 yokai, then it will do more damage than 2 or 1 during Fever Time, because it will go into a contributive score, so it will do more than a single attacker. So with that, I was able to get the 4th best score out of 25,000 people. So yeah, that's a bit of a sidetrack, but I felt like it's important to understand just Signaton. That strategy, it took me a long time. I had to spend nearly 40,000 Y money in retries before I was able to get the method to work perfectly. But once I did, I was able to get an insanely high score. And also, I feel like Signaton, he's really hard to grind, but if he gets to level 7, he'll make the Wibwobs like size 11, and that's just like, that's 2 away from being size 13 on their own. So if there's some bonus balls or some leftover little ones, once a maxed out Signaton, it might be that instead of using that same strategy, it might be that instead of getting 6 Komashuras off, because of those size growths, I could actually be getting like 8 Komashuras off. It would still take luck, but I'd be getting, but with enough tries, I would be getting 2 more Komashuras, and that would easily put me in first. Like, I would probably be getting around, I don't know, maybe even 30 million using that. Although, the thing about Signaton, which is this part that I haven't mentioned yet, he's really hard to get. He is a fusion item yokai, and fusion items are super rare drops that are hard to get, and so to just get him once is difficult, and to level him up multiple times is even harder. So to get Signaton's fusion item, the Gigahertz Orb. Oops. Just a moment. Yeah. Hello, Scranny. You need to go and play against Master Odin, and Master Odin, can be pretty hard to actually just fight repeatedly because he is pretty strong. Like, he becomes manageable once you get it into the upper levels, but like it can be hard to go and use item drop yokai, which are useful for that, like Badud and Badinyan. So, but if you do manage to get Signaton, he can be super helpful, especially once he's at level 3. So speaking of Master Odin, he's a swell dude. He's an A rank healer for the Mysterious Tribe. So yeah, it's just another healer. He's pretty hard to get because he's an A rank on a hidden stage, but if you get him, then yeah, he's bulky. I mean, you can see that he's fat, so that means that you can take some nice hits. Um, although it's like leveling up his ultimate will be hard. It might be easier to use Tattlecast for that, or and this is just talking about mysterious healing yokai. There's other healers in other tribes that often are more convenient to use and easier to level up. Then Static King, and everyone hates Static King. I don't. This guy is a notorious jerk. I know so many people that have so much trouble with him. He's a rare yokai that appears inside the yokai world, so this is when it's starting to get really tough. And all he does is he's just an S rank that heals. And it's like I was saying that healers are good, but there's a ton of S ranks that heal, and this guy's one of the hardest to get of those healers. He's got the third highest bulk for healing, like the third highest HP stat of healers. But just you'll have to reset on level a lot of times, and befriending an S rank is pretty hard. And it's like, man, you are not worth the effort, Static King. Please just go and be my friend because you're so annoying. I actually befriended him second try. I really lucked out, although even then I had to grind the level pretty often to see him. I forget what the odds are of seeing a rare yokai on a stage. It's either 10% or 20%, but either way, I mean 10% or 5%. But either way, it's takes a while. So now we've got Rearrangers, and Rearrangers are a really cool type of yokai. They'll go and select they'll select a group of two types of Wibble Wobble for Mirapo that he'll select them, and then he'll go and rearrange them so that they all fall down from the top of the screen, and that makes it really easy to link ultimates. Like once you use him, then you can just go and just swipe along a line and get all of them. And the fact that Mirapo is a C rank and you're guaranteed to get him, like he's one of the yokai that they give you for free because he does the map warp. That means that he can be really helpful early on in just playing through because he'll just be getting you so many free ultimates. The downside to Rearrangers is the fact that for some reason, how it works is even though they go and make them all fall down in a line, if you have larger Wibble Wobble, they'll take longer to fall. So then, if you have a big one, it'll take forever before it finally comes down. That can waste some valuable time, and also just makes it linking harder because besides being separated from the rest of its type, there's also the fact that when it falls down, it's so big it makes a splash thanks to like the physics. So like all the other ones will kind of get bumped up in the air. They'll kind of get rearranged again, and it'll make it hard to do the links. So if you're using a rearranger, you need to make sure that you don't have anything bigger than size 3 on the board at the time, or else you're just going to mess it up. And then there's Merkel, who is an A rank, and you can get him from the crank, so he's one of the easier A ranks to get. And he's really good. He's the second best rearranger after Demona, so he selects 4, and so because he does 4, that means that the ones that are left over will fall to the bottom. So all 5 will be sort of lined up, and that includes himself. And leveling up Rearrangers, the higher their level, how the higher level helps is that it makes it so that it takes less to go and get their ultimate ready. They're one of the ones where the higher their ultimate, then you don't need a size 13 to get them ready. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but being able to get, like, I don't know what it is. It must be like size 9 or something to go and get him when he's maxed out to go and get his ultimate ready. So that means that you can often use him many times in a row. So if you so you could just go and like get him, do the links to get on all five. Now there's a good chance that you'll end up getting his ultimate ready again, and you'll have a new board that's spawned and you can use him again. He's actually really useful in score attack. I don't use him like at top level. He starts to become just not good enough to compete with some of the other ones, but he still can get you a really good score and carry you pretty far. Like, he can probably, if you have a good team, he can probably help you get into the top 50. Like, once you're trying to get like top 20, that's where it starts to be like, okay, now he just isn't able to keep up with the better yokai, but he still will do a lot for you. So I consider him one of the 4 really good yokai in this tribe. So then we've got the Owl Bros, Ilu, Elu, and Alu. And these guys are stupid. These guys are really stupid. They go and they transform each other. They transform themselves into each other. So Ilu makes Elu, Elu makes Alu, and Alu makes Ilu. And like, so how this could supposedly work is if you get 3 of them, if you get all 3 of these guys and level them up a bunch, theoretically you could create this kind of a feedback loop where you use Alu's ultimate and a bunch of Ilu spawn. You go and put those all together, pop it, and get Ilu's ultimate, and then make Elu spawn and get Elu's ultimate, and then he'll make Alu, and you kind of go in this cycle like that. But the thing is, these guys have bad stats. It's like, okay, you get 2 C ranks and a B rank. It's like, yeah, you get an infinite number of big Wibble with them, but I'd much rather be using just about anything else, especially because at low levels they don't change much. That being said, it can be pretty fun to use them. It is entertaining just get to use an endless cycle of Yankees and a cycle of ultimates, so they're fun at least. That's worth something. Now we have QB and Frosttail, and they're both S ranks. QB's only inside the crank, and Frosttail's one of the final. He's one of the hardest hidden stage yokai. So he's pretty difficult to befriend, and these guys have amazing stats. Actually, QB's stats aren't that great, but Frosttail has good stats, and they're the S rank attacking mysterious yokai, but they make breaking balls, and no matter how good you are, breaking balls can't carry you. I'll link the Filthy Goats video about Dark QB in the description. So Dark QB is by far the best breaking ball yokai, but even then he's still bad, and Filthy Goats goes in detail exhibiting how he's just not useful. So next we have Komashura, and he's one of the best yokai in the entire game, the best attacker. He's a 3 attacker, and a multi-attacker is extremely good. Being able to attack directly instead of the board means that you can go and set up multiple ultimates for him without ruining them, like by having them get popped prematurely. So that means that you can use him many times. If you go and set it up right, you can use him many times in a row. Like I talked about how I was able to use him 6 times in a row, which was able to get me an insanely high score. And Komashura is really hard to get. You need to go and get Solteria from the crank, and he's the 3rd rarest S rank that's permanently in the Crank-a-kai after Komasan-S and Jibanyan-S. But, so he's just got really good attack, and he lets you go and grind tons of money against, like, Massive Face, and also just any group of 3 yokai. He can just do so much for you. With lots of money, you can crank more, you can get Soul Secrets that can then be used on him. When you use Soul Secrets, he gets massive boosts from them. Like, there aren't many, like, just about out of any yokai, you get some of the biggest Soul Secrets boosts. Like, leveling up does a lot more for him than most yokai, and if you have Komashura, you should just be using him. It's like, in score attack, he's the default attacker that you use if you don't have anything if you don't have one of the super effective, if there's no super effective yokai that week. Because right now in score attack, we're using 3 to 4 yokai. So we use Komashura for when we have to fight Heartful and Charming, which Mysterious is strong at, so we get the bonus points. But then also we use him against other Mysterious and Slippery yokai. Even though that he just is neutral, he doesn't do bonus damage to them. It's just he's so strong that even with something like that, there's nothing in Brave or Tough that can do as much as him, even with the bonus. Then we don't use Komashura against Shady and Eerie. For that we use either Solteria or Liberion, depending on what your strategy is. And because Solteria and Liberion, even though they're not as strong as Komashura, they're still really strong to the point that the bonus you get from the tribe advantage, it's still enough to go and be stronger than him. But yeah, Komashura just in general is so good. Like you'll like the for example this week the only two types of teams that were probably in the top 10 was four boosters and Komashura. So like probably the four boosters are Elder Bloom, Beelzebub, Sergeant Burley, but then either Zero or Maximus N depending on who it is. And then the other type was my type of team, which is three boosters and then Komashura and an inflator. Because it's just you can't compete without Komashura and top level score attack. So let's see. So now we're getting to the ones that aren't released yet. So we don't have these guys, but we do have Miradox, and Miradox is interesting. He is well, I mean, he's not actually interesting. He's an exact clone of Signaton in almost every way. The only difference between him and Signaton is he's got slightly higher HP and attack, but it's very minimal to the point that there's no real way to notice the difference. They're basically the same yokai. But he's on a hidden stage and is an A rank, and he's all the way in Harrisville, which is pretty far into the game. So he's not easy to befriend, but he's still a ton easier to befriend than Signaton. Like if you're watching this video and like, oh hey, I want to do score and attack and I want to use your strategy, but I don't have these guys yet. Miradox is probably the one that you want to use just because he's so much easier to get, although they're basically the same. But one thing that's interesting is that I'm curious about is that so Signaton I've been keeping at level 3 because he'll make the size 7 Wibble Wobble, which means that I can just go and pop the 2 for guaranteed ultimate. But when maxed out, he'll like make size 11, but it takes a long time for them to grow that big, and I can't really be guaranteed that they become size 13. So for a while I've been kind of feeling like, you know what, Signaton might be better at level 3 than he is at level 7, but I'm not really sure. But it's like, if I were to go and level him up to level 7 and then it turns out that he's worse, and that I can't go back. He's permanently going to be level 7. I can never go back to level 3 where he potentially might be better than level 7. What's nice is that now we have Miradox, who is the same as him. So what I'm doing is grinding Miradox. I'm going to raise him to like level 6 or 7, see how he works. That way, if it turns out like, no, being able to grow to size 7 so that they grow quickly and don't take up too much space is better, if that ends up being what it is, then I won't be stuck with then the super high ultimate inflator. So it's really helpful that Miradox exists. Although he's still really hard to befriend, especially multiple times. I only have him at level 3 so far, which is the same as Signaton. But eventually I'm going to get into like level 6. Level 7's hard because you need to get them 12 times to raise them, but it'll be an interesting experiment. And then there's Smogling. Smogling is adorable. She's got one of the cutest Wibwobs. And she's got a really helpful ultimate. Attacking, she's a direct single attacker. So, one of the yokai that can be used for floods where you go and get multiple ready because they won't pop the ones below. And single attackers also just generally do the most damage to any individual yokai. But she's only a D rank, so it's like, oh well, she's an evolution yokai. She's designed to be bad, so then the evolution's good. But for some reason with Smogmella, they changed it. So they changed her ultimate to being a vertical popper, which is the worst kind of popper in the game because it's very reliant on where the Wibwob are at the times, and often how it is that the center has the least number of Wibwob because they kind of all push off to the side, and there's like a bit of a valley you'll see. So vertical attackers usually pop the least amount of Wibwob of any direct attackers, and so she's really weak. And it's really disappointing because when we saw Smogling being single attacker, we were excited. It seemed like, oh wow, Smogmella is going to be so useful. And granted, Komashura is already a thing, but he's still more useful because there's multi attack. But still, if you have to go and rely on it's not always that you can go and use. That there's not always 3 lines of yokai. I mean, score attack, there's always 3 lines of yokai, but we don't know if that'll change. And also, we just want to be able to score high against single yokai when there aren't multiple on the stage. And so having a direct attacker, especially a rank mysterious one, that'd be amazing. I mean, Demuncher or Onikui, he's going to be coming out for Brave Tribe pretty soon because he's necessary to get Spoilerina, and she's been hinted at multiple times in the game, although 5 of her seal yokai are out. Now it's just Onikui or the Muncher. He's a single attacker for the Brave tribe, and we're going to be, once he comes out, we're actually going to be using him over Komashura for Mysterious and Slippery tribe. He's a single attacker, but he's strong enough that he's actually going to, that his tribe bonus will be better than Komashura's lack of a tribe advantage. So Smogmella is just such a disappointment, especially because Smogmella is hard to get, because Smogling is a rare yokai in Harrisville, which is where yokai. This is where like you need to probably be having level 40s or stronger of mostly high rank yokai, so it's kind of difficult. And then add in that Smogling, she's rare appearance. She's only D rank, so once you do see her, she's not too hard to befriend. But then once you get her, you need to raise her all the way to level 38, which is really high. And only then will she evolve into Smogmella, only for you to be really disappointed. So unfortunately, this line had so much potential, but they're a bust. And that's all of the mysterious yokai that are currently in the game. I'll make a video once I've gone through all 9 tribes. I'll go and make a video just with updates for when new yokai get added and just talk about them instead of doing it by tribe. But for now, I just want to go through all the yokai that are currently in the game. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm on the Yokai Watch Reddit Discord. If you ever want to go there, you can talk to me there. I'm Frost Princess Hound there too. I love helping people improve their teams and get better. So if you ever have any questions about how to improve or stuff like that, yeah, feel free to ask in the bottom or recommend kind of videos that you want that for more information. Subscriptions are appreciated, and yeah, I'd like to hear your feedback of what I can improve on as well. So thanks for watching, guys. This is Frost Princess, and good luck.